Hi guys, Crolister here with another Namco arcade long play. In this video, I will be playing the most complex and one of the most difficult arcade games by Namco to beat, The Return of Ishtar. The Return of Ishtar, which was released in 1986, is a sequel to the Tower of Druaga, which was released in 1984. I already played the Tower of Druaga on my channel before, if you want to check that video out. I got that and more than 30 others already on my playlist, for being on YouTube for about 3 months. Goes to show you how much I love arcade games by this company. Alright, so, The Return of Ishtar is a Japanese role-playing game. Like actual gaining experience and leveling up role-playing game. For a new credit, I'm going to start with a password. Continue. The game uses a password system connecting your player's initials and your gender, and it gives you these passwords at a game over that you can record on a memo so you can use them again later and start the game with more experience. I saved some passwords with Kai in particular so she can have a lot more of her spells and magic power. So, what Kai and Gil are doing in this game is, after Gil had defeated Druaga and revived Kai with the blue crystal rod, they have to find their way out of the tower, basically, is what they're doing. You start at the top of the tower, and Kai takes the blue crystal rod from where Gil placed it at the end of Tower of Druaga, and she has to use the blue crystal rod to protect both herself and Gil as they find their way out of the tower. The Return of Ishtar is supposed to require co-op play, with the primary player controlling Kai and the secondary player controlling Gil. However, you can literally play the game with one character, one player, if you're coordinated enough. Kai has a wide selection of attack spells that she'll gain access to as she levels up. The fireball attack has unlimited uses. Other spells can only go for so long based on her magic power. Ordinarily, her magic power and experience are not displayed, though you can turn that on in arcade archives. Gil automatically draws his sword if an enemy is nearby, and touching enemies with his sword will damage them. He will also take damage himself, and that does make it extremely difficult and annoying to defeat enemies in this game. The fraction that you see in the lower right corner is Gil's remaining health. And trying to level Gil up to have more HP is a pain in the rear across the board. If you're playing solo, you should focus more on controlling Kai as opposed to Gil. Check out the map in arcade archives while you're playing to plot a route to where you go. Pick up the correct key to open the correct door, and use the Call Gil spell to immediately put Gil next to Kai's side while he's off screen as soon as you get to the door. Kai and Gil have to go through the door simultaneously in order to progress if you're playing co-op. Just like with Tower of Druaga, Return of Ishtar has different colors for the same kinds of enemies, and each one is more dangerous than the last, like the different colors of vampires requiring a larger number of fireballs to defeat them. In almost every room I will show you a hint of me looking at the map. Like, I bring up the map consistently while playing this game, so I can actually beat it without getting that lost. And I will show the map in this video per room that I use for a few seconds for anybody that wants to read it. Like this. Magicians, like with the Tower of Druaga, will appear around Gil and shoot a spell attack. Different spell attacks from the different kinds of magicians have a different effect that can affect Gil negatively. Kai is immune to spell attacks, so only worry about Gil and making him block them with his shield. A few rooms in the game have a treasure chest. You can open them by interfacing with them with the blue crystal rod option equipped. The chest in the large hall and a few other rooms activates Big Burn and will decimate all enemies that are on screen. It's very difficult to rack up enough experience points from defeating enemies to level up Gil and Kai into being viable. So I recommend killing a bunch of enemies in the earlier floors and saving your password after each and every game over so that you can continue your progression at a new start and be significantly stronger. You also have to memorize what spells work on what enemies. While the fireball is good for use on vampires and green slimes, other enemies, including bats and snakes, are immune to them. The fireball has unlimited uses. Any other spell can only be used so much on one credit before Kai can't use them anymore. And that's determined by magic power based on her leveling progression. That also applies to Gil's maximum health. Anybody that is not into complex games is really not going to like this game. I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure a lot of the bigger Namco arcade fans in America and Europe hate this game after playing it in Namco Museum Volume 4, I'm pretty sure. I can tolerate this game, though it's definitely not my favorite to play, for obvious reasons. Any room that plays this music has ropers in it. This song is supposed to be the ropers theme. I just use Protection Large and walk over top them to defeat them. That's a pretty common layout for a room, the Knight's Chamber, and it spells out the word Knights. There is a large selection of different spells that Kai can acquire and use that can help to turn the game into your favor. Just like with the Tower of Druaga, you can only stay in a room for so long. If you stay in the room for too long, you'll hear a warning siren, followed by the music speeding up. And then, shortly after that, will-o-wisps will appear and fill the room up. You also only have one life. If Gil or Kai die, it's instantly a game over. And you're given a password for each character that you can save so you can continue or start again later. The password, which is linked to your name entry and gender, will determine your password based on your progression. I used a heal spell to restore Gil's health after taking on that blue slime, for example. Using the cure spell in the medicine page, you see how Kai wasn't affected by the spell from the slime. You can also use sleep to freeze all slimes and maybe a few other different kinds of enemies. That helps make them easier. You can also use the cure spell, as I was about to say earlier, to slow down the spurt and keep the room from filling up with the will-o-wisps, which can prove useful as well. Mirror knights are faster than the other kinds of knights, moving about the same as Gil and Kai's movement speed. Even with the in-game map, it can be difficult to recall exactly where the doors and keys are that take you to what rooms as well. So, there's also some spells under the light page that'll show you the correct color of the doors and the keys within the room, so that you can find them easier without having to pan to the map more than once. It took me a while to find the key I wanted in question here. In some rooms, it can be very easy to get lost. So look at the map in between room entries very closely. In order to beat the Return of Ishtar, you have to have godlike memorization and coordination. The password saving function at an extent is also required, because without leveling up enough or getting some of the chests, the later rooms in the game will absolutely destroy you. For different colors of slimes, use different grades of the fire spell, like the fire element, to take them down quickly. Just be cautious of your magic power. Use sleep to immobilize slimes if you want to get past them easier. I'm gonna need to use protection to get past the Hyper Knights. I probably should have opened the chest in Quox's Labyrinth to get Gil's vitality up to 400 points. I didn't do that in the recording for whatever reason. I should have. Because due to the limited magic power and use of spells that Kai has, beating the game on 1 credit is virtually impossible. And if you use a continue, Gil's level actually decreases. At least if he doesn't really kill any enemies. And that's not good. There's a key underneath Quox the Dragon's Head. Use Sleep to get it safely. Press can be used to defeat bats and snakes. You should use that spell as soon as this room, and maybe some others as well, are entered. Pay attention to the color of the shield Kai surrounds herself with while using the protection spell, in order to determine how much of it is left before you walk over enemies. The protection shield might also be a reference to the game Grobda, since, Grobda was made by the same specific people in Namco Arcade that made Xevious and the Tower of Druaga series. So that means they also made the Return of Ishtar. One of the rooms that is not going to be in this video, the museum, even has a painting of a Tarazi, one of the enemies from Xevious. Alright, due to low magic power, I'm gonna have to start a new credit here. Because the AC ropers in this room are a nightmare to get past without a good amount of protection large. If you're in an early phase of playing the game and are underleveled, there is also a treasure chest somewhere in this room that'll increase Kai's magic power and gain you access to more of her spells. I strongly recommend going for that chest if you're doing a first play. I had to bring up the map left, right, and center in this room. I just cut all that out in the final video. That's the chest right there. The key for the room I want to enter is well hidden without the map. Another note is that if a bunch of enemies are on screen at once, it'll cause the game to lag, and the lagging of the game makes it difficult to select spells. There is a hidden passageway in the Forbidden Hall that takes you down to another lower room. If you level up in a dedicated manner, meaning a lot more experience points than the magic power chests alone give, you can make the secret passage visible. Otherwise, I just skim around and find it by chance. We're getting closer to the end here. And as such, the game gets brutally difficult up ahead. Those green ropers are actually super ropers. They appear without transforming first, and are much faster and stronger, and are immune to all attack magic except for protection, and it takes a lot of it if you want to defeat them. Best to be averted. If you're leaving Gil behind until you use the Call Gil spell, you also gotta watch out for magicians that appear around him. In the later stages, you get the Hyper Magicians, which all shoot spells that kill Gil instantly. Also, in the Return of Ishtar, the Druid and the Sorcerer characters got mixed up compared to Tower of Druaga. It's bad enough Blinky and Clyde got mixed up in the early Pac-Man franchise. The tiny slimes you see in some rooms are oozes, and they're not nearly as easy to kill as slimes are. lure the ropers and the bats away from me before I call Gil. I just gotta get far enough away from them. I'll just move Gil towards the door this way. That'll do. I gotta start another credit for Kai's magic power. The last game continue option is convenient if you want to keep right going from where you left off. Starting over again on the very first floor, the top of the tower, with the password you previously saved has a better result if you're trying to grind. Every room also has a 3-character room key that you have to enter if you want to start the game on a password save on any room other than top of the tower, requiring you to memorize those as well. So much complication and so much requiring the save data for an arcade game. Sheesh. Then again, the Return of Ishtar was a Japan-only release until Namco Museum Volume 4. Just as Tower of Druaga used to be Japan-only until Volume 3. And obviously, the Return of Ishtar is nowhere near as popular as the Tower of Druaga. I wonder why. The sheer number of blue Super Ropers and the Hyper Wizard can make this room quite a nightmare to go through. And unless you light up the keys and doors, you're not going to figure out which door's which that you really need to enter, even if you look at the map. You see how the sheer number of blue Super Ropers is making the game lag. If only I got Gil's 400 HP chest in that one room, the Quax's Labyrinth, then I could defeat them with the Flame Body spell. So, I'm stupid for that reason. The Master Opponent is just a little bit reckless. The portcullis is extremely difficult to beat without a large amount of grinding. Besides the vast number of Hyper Knights you have to go through, there is a land urchin just by the door. The land urchin is immune to all attacks and kills you on contact regardless of protection and remaining hit points for Gil. And the only way you can stop it, really, is to use Unseen Servant, which is a spell you get after a lot of grinding, unfortunately. The Akin Knights on the entrant hall are also immune to attack magic, and are nearly impossible to kill viably. Once you get to the entrant hall, as soon as you possibly can, use Duo Dimension, and then you can go through the door up ahead to end the game. I had to use a heal spell to get Gil's health up so the Akin Knight wouldn't kill him first. Ishtar's ghost also appears in this room and supposedly boosts Kai's magic power. Not that that helps much against the dreaded land urchins, which are extremely fast and hard to outmaneuver. And yeah, that's the end of the Return of Ishtar. Gil and Kai return from the tower, and it's a well-established ending. Fygar, Dig Dug reference. Referencing Druaga himself, huh? Yaj Mahal from India. That's freaking funny. Then it shows you the names of all the enemies in the game. Alright, so, that's the end of Return of Ishtar. After a game over, you're given a 6-character password for Kai and a 4-character password for Gil that you can save and use on another play if you want to start over. And with this, I have played every game in Namco Museum Volume 4 in long play form. You can check those out on my channel if you want, and stay tuned for more Namco Arcade up ahead and plenty more. I am Crolister, the Master of Ponage. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video from here. Bye.